Hey everybody, this is Didrinker64 and welcome to another review from Milo Murphy's Law. This is week 2 of the Milo March Bomb, and this set of 4 episodes really, I'm just going to say it right now, tipped over the show on its head. It is really awesome what happened. Honestly, the first 4 episodes in this bomb were completely tame, not much happened. We did see Cavendish and Dakota, but with what happened in this set of episodes, really just turned their entire storyline and Milo's storyline and just merged the two. Finally, they have more of a connection and there's sort of that line crossed between them to really put them in an opposition type of way, at least more than it was. And I'll get to that when we actually get into that, but yeah, this was a great set of 4 episodes and it finally just puts that line between Cavendish, Dakota and Milo and, you know, puts them at odds, puts them as like antagonist and protagonist, which is really awesome. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually talking about these episodes, and really they were all amazing. The last 2, maybe not as much as the others because the first 2 were more plot heavy, so to speak, but yeah, the other 2 were also pretty good. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get straight into the first episode, which is The Substitute. Now, this episode really didn't have that great of a premise, you know, it's about a substitute teacher, weird stuff goes on because obviously Milo is Milo and all that sort of stuff, and there's some kind of sentient blobs, so yeah, nothing really new for this show, it's just weird. But then Cavendish and Dakota come into it, and we see that they're trying to protect their precious pistachio plant, obviously, and, you know, actually learning that, oh, pistachios, that's just their mission and they're time travelers. Obviously you could kind of tell and deduce that they're just time travelers the whole time, and obviously that was kind of a thing that I had for a while, I thought. Now we know it's true, they're time travelers, obviously just their clothes, looking at them, completely different, so it kind of, you know, just told me, okay, they're time travelers, they wear all this weird clothes. One's from like the 1980s, I would have guessed, Dakota and Cavendish, 1950s, I'm not really sure what period those clothes will come from, but yeah. Honestly, those are some of the best parts of the episode. Them trying to protect the pistachio plant, they accidentally leave their teleporter there, and the substitute teacher ends up getting sucked off into space because of it. We get this really cool David Bowie-esque song while she's floating in space, and, you know, I think this is the first time we've seen something of that kind of caliber, which is really interesting. And then by the end of the episode, the sentient blob, obviously being destroyed and turned to solid by Milo with the fire extinguishers, escapes, because there's a little bit of it left running out of the drain, and basically Cavendish and Dakota end up destroying their pistachio plant because they're idiots and they're completely stupid, but the sentient blob ends up taking over the pistachio plant and now it's glowing red and it's sort of sentient in itself. So obviously this is huge. This is sort of big setup for what might come later on in the season. Obviously, from what I can gather, counting up the episodes, this bomb only equates to having half of the season aired at this point, so there's still another 11 full episodes to go after this, so yeah. Even more, because the bomb isn't even over, so yeah. Whether this sentient blob taking over the pistachio plant is the main villain, it does set up something, maybe Cavendish and Dakota, even considering what happens in the next episode and further on, may end up having to work with Milo and the team to actually destroy this thing. It looks like it might have to come to that, but we'll definitely see what happens in the future, obviously. But overall, this is a great episode, huge setup, and honestly, it reminded me a lot of Star vs. the Force of Evil in a way. This episode really didn't have an interesting premise. I remember, at least back in Star vs. Force of Evil, the episode that really took everything off was fortune cookies, and that episode didn't have much of a great premise. It was about fortune cookies, what more could you ask for? But yeah, that episode introduced Toffee and just set off the entire plotline, so this episode kind of works in that vein. A substitute teacher doesn't seem like much of a premise, but then you get this whole setup for everything to come, so yeah. In fact, this entire show just feels a lot like Star, just starting off really happy and carefree, not much going on in terms of story, and then we really get into the meat of it later on in the season. So again, it does feel a lot like that to me. I don't know, but really, I love it, I really do. This was a great episode, and it just got better from here. Especially as we head into the next episode, Time Out. So obviously this episode was a lot of fun as well. We actually got to see Zach's dad for the first time, which was really interesting. Good to see other characters getting introduced as we move along with this, which is awesome. We're seeing Milo's dad again, which is fine, but yeah, they're going on some kind of a boat trip. Obviously chaos ensues. I don't really know what else to say there because it is Milo, it's gonna happen, there's gonna be chaos, so it's not really too much of a shock to expect that, but with the Cavendish and Dakota parts again, they seem to be in a lot of episodes as well, so I'll get to something in a minute actually that it reminds me of, but again, all the Cavendish and Dakota stuff, they have to protect more pistachios, which seems to be their mission. They'll be given this mission by their boss to protect the pistachios, for reasons that we'll get to in this episode. Obviously, they meet other time travelers, which is really interesting, and they seem to be part of some kind of an agency that does all this sort of spy stuff, except the only problem with that is that Cavendish and Dakota are being given like the lowest of jobs. They are the runts of the group, and there's that. Really, we actually learned a lot about Cavendish and Dakota and their agency in this episode. It was awesome. Mark Hamill voicing the boss was really cool. Good to see him again in another cartoon show after a regular show, so yeah. And actually my question on where Cavendish's clothes, what period they're from, actually got answered in this question around the 1870s or 1850s, which is what one of the other time travelers said. So yeah, we're actually seeing other time travelers. This is becoming a much more prominent part in the story. And toward the end of this episode, Milo obviously destroys their pistachio shipment by accident, and they end up blaming Milo and start to basically resent him and want to take him down. They think he's part of some other agency or doing his own thing to get back at them for something. Obviously, we know this isn't true, it's just Murphy's Law and it's all by accident. But yeah, really, they just want to take down Milo because he's getting in the way of their mission, and honestly, this is where it begins. This is really the dividing line that basically puts them as Milo as the protagonist and them as the antagonist, and this really reminds me of Team Rocket from the Pokemon anime. It's like, obviously Team Rocket were also in a lot of episodes, pretty much every single episode after the first one, and it did get very tedious after a while, and you know, there's a lot of similarities between them and Cavendish and Dakota. They're the lowest of the low, they get the shitty jobs, they always get beaten by the protagonist and all that sort of stuff, and they really seem to mirror them quite well, so I don't know if that's the route that they're going. I hope they're not in every episode, I really do, but yeah. But I don't know, that's just me, that's just what I thought when I saw them like this. I thought, okay, it reminds me of Team Rocket a little bit from the Pokemon anime, pretty cool I guess. But yeah, it just reminded me of that a lot. But I do like a lot of the cool like spy, time traveling stuff that happened in this episode is really cool. And again, it puts that dividing line between them, so it really sets up a lot of stuff. I do think they might have to work together in the future, but still, I'm interested to see where this really goes with them now at odds. So yeah, even though Milo doesn't really even know they exist, they just think that he just thinks that they sell pistachios, so we'll see where that goes when they actually, you know, interact and they actually have this confrontation of sorts. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. But that's about all I want to say on this episode. Really good episode. Honestly, probably my favorite from this set. Even though The Substitute was the one that set it all up, this episode really pushed it even further, so I loved it for that. So, moving on to the next episode, we are going to the zoo, and yeah, honestly, this episode is a lot more tame, so we're going back to a lot more of the tame stuff, which is good. It has a nice little balance, which I like. Style does the same thing, so again, more similarities there. But this episode just revolves around them accidentally donating Milo and his sister's mom's favorite shirts to some kind of car boot sale or something like that, and you know, they just have to get it back, ending up taking them to the zoo. They end up getting stolen by monkeys. Milo sprays banana stuff on him. But yeah, really this episode is very tame. There was Cavendish and Dakota stuff, obviously searching for Milo to see if he's there, to really just worrying about whether he'll sabotage them again or what he's up to, even though he's up to nothing. We do see him at the end, but they don't really do anything about it. They're just up to protecting their pistachios, so yeah. Obviously in this episode we got Dioji again, who's always a good addition to the episodes. I do like seeing Dioji, and honestly I feel like by the end of the season he's going to be the one that saves everyone from this sentient blob. I think that'd be hilarious. Make Dioji the big hero of the show. But yeah, we are going to the zoo. I honestly don't have anything to say on this one. It's honestly a very tame episode. Cavendish and Dakota protecting pistachios and Milo getting up to more antics in the zoo. That's about it, really. His mother ends up wanting to donate them anyway, which is pretty weird, and this all felt really useless, but hey. But yeah, overall, very tame. There was actually a great song in Dakota's song of We're Going to the Zoo. Obviously, the title of the episode was the name of the song, but yeah. Overall, good episode. That's all I really have to say on it. But moving on to the fourth and final episode, School Dance. And honestly, obviously, it's the same as normal. More antics by Milo and Cavendish and Dakota getting mistaken for vampire hunters. Obviously, they think he's trying to hunt the teacher, who actually, I forgot to mention, we're going to the zoo, actually works at some kind of dry cleaners now or something like that, so yeah. But yeah, they get mistaken for vampire hunters, but obviously they're hunting for Milo instead of actually going on their mission like Mark Hamill boss said. I don't think we actually know his name. Do we know the boss's name? I don't really know. But yeah, instead of going on their actual mission, what they're supposed to do, they end up going to look for proof that Milo is evil and wants to destroy them, but yeah. So there's a school dance, and obviously, you know, the love interest for Milo, I assume, by the end of this episode, obviously, wants Milo to stay away from everything because he will destroy everything. It's Milo, what do you expect? But yeah, he does end up destroying everything. Cavendish and Dakota come in with a bunch of wooden stakes, obviously meant for their mission, but they get obviously mistaken as vampire hunters, obviously. And yeah, even Melissa and Zach get pulled in on the whole vampire hunters, even though by the end of the episode it's obviously not true, but yeah, they just end up leaving. Milo destroys everything, eventually puts everything back together, much to the surprise of the girl. I don't really know her name exactly. If they ever mentioned it, maybe they have, I'm just too stupid to listen. And by the end of the episode we get another great song by Zach. Obviously we know from the Lumberjack episode that Zach has a pretty good voice. I do enjoy the voice actor's voice for these songs, and it's really cool that Weird Al isn't just doing every single song and we are getting other people doing the singing, so yeah, it's cool. Like this song. Honestly, most of the songs in this were good. The song from The Substitute, the David Bowie-esque one, was really good. Zach's song here was good, even though We Are Going to the Zoo song was pretty funny. But yeah, the original band ended up getting sent to the future. Don't think they'll play into anything but hey, and the episode ends with sort of a love interest starting to kind of spark with Milo and this other girl, so that's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that produces. But yeah, overall that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say. That's the end of the episodes. Honestly, really good. Really good, really set some stuff up, and honestly, as long as this video's been, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this show has to offer from now on, because it looks like it's really pulling itself together, it's really becoming something else. Again, I'm seeing a lot of similarities to Star and that sort of thing, but I'm not really bothered. Star's an amazing show, and for animation and cartoons, kind of revolutionary, so yeah. Honestly, this show is becoming something great, I'm not gonna lie. I'm enjoying it to hell and back. And honestly, I can't wait to watch more. It's going to be awesome. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.